Chidananji, you can unmute and say.
See, I spoke a few words without unmuting. Now, thank you for.
Okay.
Yeah, good. So, whenever you give me the green signal, let me, I will then share some thoughts.
Yes. So you can start right now, sir.
But before that, today I may want to share the screen with some points in a Word document.
Yes.
So, have you
Welcome, sir. Welcome.
enabled? You have enabled. That's good. Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
No problem in sharing.
Okay. I will do that a bit later. Right. Okay. So, good evening, friends. We are here to discuss what we understand by the word fragmentation, which so frequently appears in the teachings. That word itself is very thought-provoking. In contrast to words like integration, we have this word fragmentation. Integration brings to us a sense of everything coming together in a harmonious way, and fragmentation, in contrast, is where things are broken down in an undesirable sense. And let me remark, before getting into some details, that this fragmentation, psychological fragmentation, is another aspect of the self in movement. The self, and we always use the word self with a lowercase s, unlike some Vedanta discipline where they talk about the self with an uppercase s. That does not figure here in these discussions. So the self is the separate self, and I just now said that this fragmentation is what naturally follows the self. Once there is the self, one of the dimensions of its manifestation is fragmentation. So a couple of words before I share some statements by Krishnaji as found in the 20th chapter of Commentaries on Living, third series. A few words on fragmentation. This is all about where one is unable to see the whole. One neither sees oneself wholly, nor sees another person in a holistic way, nor sees the society as a whole. Therefore, it is about erroneous perception. It is about a flawed way of seeing. Imagine a father looking at a son only from the point of view of how much will he earn when he grows up. Even when the boy is, let's say, in third grade or fifth grade in primary school, imagine a mother or father looks at that fifth grade boy and is a little anxious that the boy is not doing well in science or English, whatever. And the mother and father, just imagine, are talking to each other. If this is how our son is faring at the school, oh my God, tomorrow will he earn enough? There is fragmentation right there. Looking at your son only in the context of earning money, getting a good job. So money, job, social status, and having an image in the surroundings, in his or her neighborhood, all that has been given undue importance. What importance? All that has been just hijacking us. In that context, we are talking about fragmentation. So to complete that example, if the parents were to have an unbiased mind, if they were to pay attention to the boy as a whole, they do recognize the need for earning not just livelihood, but earning fairly well so that one can have a decent standard of living. They do see that point, but they look at the boy as a whole. What are his aspirations? What are his sentiments? What are his fears? What are his anxieties? What is he going through? And so on. Therefore, this is a very important topic, for if we do not understand someone, individual or a collective entity, if we don't understand properly, how can anything we say or do with that entity be on firm ground? Everything will be topsy-turvy. Therefore, fragmentation is a perilous thing, a terrible thing, with not just school, the educational setting, formal education. It is a serious issue with the entirety of our living, day in and day out. Let me see whether I can share something at this point. There are some powerful sentences that Krishnaji has said. So, may I ask whether this is visible to everyone? One of you may please let me know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Visible.
Thank you. Readable.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me remove this, some navigations. Okay, now just this is. So, as all of us know, those three books, Commentaries on Living, Series 1, Series 2, and Series 3, are unique. Every one of them begins with a certain actual scenario. Some people coming and meeting Krishnaji, and how those personalities, very often quite eminent, quite well placed, quite knowledgeable, etc., how all the same they had such erroneous perception of life. So, life cannot be departmentalized. Life is one, and as the saying goes, we have to be concerned with the whole of man, his work, with his love, with his conduct, with his health, his death, his God, as well as with the atomic bomb, says Krishnaji. There is the fragmentation of man that's making him sick. It's a pretty long chapter. I culled a few points, and the words in red letter here are what I inserted. They are not from the original work. There is the issue connected to this fragmentation, and that is no other than varieties of escapes. As we have a sentence here, even the intellectuals have their escapes. crude or subtle. In fact, if we take a look at what choices we make, somebody decides to move from a village to a big city like Bombay or Bangalore. Meanwhile, somebody else decides to move from India to UK or USA, Singapore, somewhere. Somebody decides to marry somebody from a particular community, from a particular background. In all those choices we make, if only we are aware of what goes on inside us, we can see certain escapes. A man is blaming his village, his small town, for his unhappiness. And he imagines, if I move to a big city, oh, everything will be solved. The reality is very different. So some go for an escape in comfort, in certain standard of living, in a certain social belonging. And some others take an escape route in religion. Perhaps there is something called true religion, but by and large, what we see with vast number of people is religion for them is a certain set of beliefs. It's a comfort zone. Their temple, their guru, their membership, their socializing in the name of some spiritual program, and all that. That is fragmentation. Really speaking, religion has to go so deep into one's being that one gets transformed. But what happens normally in the societies, both the followers and the gurus are busy building their own comfort zones. Sometimes it is said that the gurus are busy building their own empires. These statements may look a little negative or sarcastic. They look like statements that find fault with everything. In fact, Krishnaji is looked at by a lot of people as being cynical. I myself, in the early years, mistook him to be cynical. Who is a cynical person? Somebody who cannot see any good anywhere. You talk about marriage, you talk about employment, you talk about nation, you talk about politics, you talk about travel, you talk about anything. The person says, oh, you know what? And there is something negative that he has to say. That is called cynicism. But as we understand these teachings more and more with an open mind, we find that it is not cynicism, but it is throwing light on certain facts of life. And we are not here to find fault with X or Y, A or B, this political leader or that cinema hero. We actually, in these teachings, discover certain flaws in our own perception, our own seeing. Let me go to another point here. Right during school and college education, a certain expression has been in vogue for quite some time now. Job-oriented education, professional courses. You do this and you have wonderful opportunities. Though it may have a little truth in it, that one may land a good job with a good pay, whatever. Look at the injustice it does to life as such. One says, next 10 years, I'm going to focus on getting this degree and anything else can wait. Even becoming a good human being can wait. Once I have a very good job and a very nice husband or wife, once I'm settled, I will go behind some guru and become a good man, a good woman. What a terrible way of thinking. Can we postpone goodness to another period of time as a compartmentalized special project? Even as you put it off for another period of time, your bosom gets more and more filled with, the next point we have here, things like envy, ambition, or some heartburn, or some anxiety. All these start filling your bosom, and then to unwind, to let go of them, to undo them would be a Himalayan task. So there comes an interesting question in this very area. Yeah, I do see that I have envy and it is causing so much of heartburn to me. When somebody else gets ahead of me, I can't stand that. So you and I confess sometimes, but then we ask the question, how do we get rid of this envy? In one of his very uh, insightful statements, Krishnaji says to ask how we get rid of envy. Where is that? Moment you bring this issue of how do I get rid of envy, as one of the statements says here, the how is another form of envy. You got to look at it carefully. Moment you ask how I may get rid of envy, it's another form of envy. You know why? There's a fragmentation over there. I want to get rid of envy so that I don't have any heartburn. I don't feel uncomfortable when somebody is ahead of me. But the clever thinking in me goes like this: free of envy, free of jealousy, I will then very smoothly go ahead and be the best among all. So again, there is the desire to be ahead of all. So where have we left envy? To be free of envy, as we conceptualize it, is only to add fuel to our fast growth. And therefore, even asking, how do I get rid of envy, is a desire in disguise of, or desire to get ahead. In that wonderful piece, that chapter 20 of series 3, there is a little humor also. The visitor says to Krishnaji, the visitor apparently in that is a very educated, very highly qualified psychiatrist. He counsels people, he helps people heal. He claims, as he talks to Krishnaji, that my job is to heal individuals who have been bruised, who have been wounded psychologically, who have been, going through a traumatic time. I want to put them back, put pieces together and heal him. So a psychiatrist with a tremendous knowledge of varieties of psychological disorders in humanity confesses, that's where the humor, I said. The visitor says, sir, I have found envy to be stimulating at times. There has been pleasure in it. So he is able to see. That's where the teachings help us. The teachings help us see our contradictions. On one hand, we see how envy is a terrible thing. On the other, we are so used to operate through envy. I envy somebody, I work hard, I get ahead of him, and I am happy. Or even if I fail, I seem to enjoy that effort to try to get ahead. Whether I succeed in getting ahead of others or not, burning the midnight oil, working hard, going from pillar to post to get my way, has been stimulating. In other words, some of you, I'm sure, have already thought of it. The topic is getting close to what is called competition. We live in a competitive world where we constantly compare others with ourselves with others. And needless to say, that comparison and competition does not leave even the so-called spiritual domain. The gurus also seem to be competing with each other. So when you first hear Krishnaji making strong criticism of gurus, you think he is cynical. Why is he after saints and Mahatmas and so on, not in good taste, etc., you may say. But leave aside this business of good taste and bad taste. Please check whether there is truth in it. Religions of the world with people on various hierarchies, Pope or Cardinal, Bishop or some other. In Hinduism too, Mahamandaleshwar and then some other level and then some other level. And the Swamis in different colors of clothes, orange and yellow and white and maybe some other too. What's going on? If you closely examine, like this piece on envy touches upon, there seems to be a certain psychology which is in the corporate world, in the commercial world, entering pretty much the spiritual world too. So this topic, friends, of fragmentation is to throw light on how we get hijacked by one thing or maybe two things to the exclusion of 20 other things. Life is much more than being famous. In fact, being famous is not an essential part of a happy life, but we give a lot of importance to being famous. Alas, the big tragedy here is for an ounce of fact, our psychology generates pounds and pounds of imagination. I look at somebody's looks and envy him or envy her. Looks may have a little place, aesthetics. If somebody looks handsome, a lady looks very pretty, we don't brush it aside as meaning nothing. But as I said carefully, for a couple of ounces of fact, the psychology of our mind blows it up to pounds and pounds. How can I look so handsome as that gentleman? How can I be so pretty as this woman who walked into the, get together? Is it by some kind of dress that she wears? Is it by the tie that he wears? The mind goes, into a frenzy. So I'm illustrating how a part hijacks us. Lastly, without making it very long, I often hear these days that countries wage a war on another country where on the surface it looks like they want territory of another country. But political commentators say that it's not exactly about territory. But back in his country, this president or prime minister, some politician, he is losing ground. He is not popular. He may lose next elections. In order to get popular and win the next elections, one way is attack the neighboring country, get some square miles, 100 square miles, 300 square miles of land. Immediately in his country, he will become very popular. Next election, they will again elect him. What a terrible thing. This is called fragmentation. For me to be re-elected, I have to throw some tantrum. I have to do some stunt, attack the neighbor, find fault with them, claim that their land actually is ours. There was some wrong drawing of the borders by the British or somebody. So we are going to reclaim what actually was our own. All this blah blah goes on. Why? Basically, deep inside, I want to regain my importance in my country. Alas, finally, all this has made us insane. All this has made us violent. All this has made us outwardly successful at times, but at what cost? In fact, whenever we succeed in some, wrong way, invariably we cause a lot of hurt, a lot of sorrow, and even depression to many others. Even as we go up the stage in glitter and glamour, 10 or 20 of our associates feel so low, feel that they have lost and we have won. All these judgments, she won and he lost, and look how famous he is, and look how useless this person has become, etc., are all the outcome of this fragmentation. Fragmentation, thus, is getting hijacked by a part in relation to how we see others or how we see ourselves. And that is terrible injustice to the wholeness of others or ours or anything for that matter. Let me pause here and invite some remarks or questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Everybody is invited to ask question or comment. Please come forward by raising hand. Dinesh Wagmare, please unmute and say. Dinesh Wagmare.
Sir, can you listen to me?
I am hearing you.
Isn't this fragmentation is natural, sir? Because
No.
in my
See,
views,
yeah.
it has come from distortion of the dichotomy.
Distortion of?
Dichotomy already available in nature. See, you and I are different physically, mentally, psychologically, and even on many aspects we are different. So because of that, the fragmentation is coming. What is the origin of fragmentation?
No. See, the word natural has to be used carefully. Natural means something that is part of your nature, it cannot be taken away. Whereas fragmentation is not natural. Through inquiry, through exploration, call it whatever, investigation, many have actually let go of their fragmentation. Therefore, we don't use the word natural for what can be let go of, whereas a number of things about, especially physical or even emotionally, to seek love and to want to love, these are all natural. You cannot take them away. But to look at somebody who is rich as more desirable, than someone else, to be charmed by the name and fame of a cinema star or an Olympic gold winner. These are all not natural. But so you must use the word, these are universal. It's found commonly. What is found commonly doesn't have to be natural. Just because millions have that tendency, it doesn't become natural. The word natural is to be reserved in these philosophical discussions for something that is inseparable from one's being. So 1 in a million it may be, is one Krishnaji or one Buddha, one X or one Y. Because totally free from fragmentation, they are with their natural self, natural existence. This fragmentation is a conditioning. Conditioning is not natural. Though it is found all over in Africa and America, Australia and New Zealand, it may be. But conditioning is not natural.
This fear is different from jealousy. Goodness is different from jealousy. These are all fragments. And
All of them are
there
not
originates
natural.
all your competition, ambition, and all that. Because one is not adequate or he is not complete. That's why he competes with other. He try to become equal to him or better than him. Even mind.
It's a universal, it's a commonly found disease and not natural.
Mind can also.
Would you say COVID is natural? COVID came, started from Wuhan and spread.
Virus is natural, sir. Whether it has come because of this virus is natural, isn't it? And it is different from bacteria. So both are fragments of the nature, we can say.
Who is the next questioner?
Please raise hand. If you wanted to comment or question, please. Pradeep Verma. Pradeep Verma. Pradeep Verma, please unmute and say.
Yes.
Go ahead. We are listening.
It's a very nice and very important topic. The entire nation, the entire society, the whole world is suffering because of this. We have become used to it. Probably with the diversity that India has, biologically, as well as because of socio-political reasons. India is one of the most fragmented society. And there are reasons everybody knows about. And the repercussions of that one can see in the parliament, in the society, everywhere. We are, as JK said, we all are responsible for whatever wrong is going on. He said war. We all are responsible. So for this fragmentation, which has become a part like corruption, this is creating hell. There is no point in talking that competition is bad, or this is bad, or that is bad, or that is ideal, this is good, that is good. But if you can see the present scenario and the entire history, the result of the entire thing, this is the result of century-old fragmentation. But we don't talk about that. And each fragmentation in society is associated with the behavior, with the working, with the pattern of working, and with whatever is allowed and whatever is not allowed to a particular pattern. So, fragmentation, and this is all psychological. I'm not talking about biological differences in shapes and colors and complexions. Leave apart that. But the rulers have very cunningly utilized fragmentation even now in almost all domains of society. So the power used, we always say divide and rule is not from Britishers. It is our problem. It is our disease that has been utilized by others. And even now being utilized by politicians, the rulers. If you want to rule, you have to fragment. Even scientists work this way, in a way that divide it and understand, divide it and see. Because as if everything can be divided and should be divided. So this fragmentation is a huge, huge problem. And I don't know why we are not able to see see whatever is happening is the result of which has been inculcated in us since long centuries. And we have justification for that. That is another duty. The moment someone raises this point of fragmentation, there is always a justification. Man has a tremendous capacity to justify virtually everything. So we have to see, can we see it? Can we see it, or we only talk about envy, jealousy, and some should be and all these things. This has happened, but can we see it? The results of what has been, we have inherited, almost inherited psychologically, and we are all suffering it. But I don't know whether we can call this a united India. It's a huge, huge fallacy. Thank you very much for giving me enough time.
Can we go to Harshad ji for his comments?
Yeah, definitely.
Can I,
sir.
in between, can I say
sir,
something, sir?
After
Will you
Harshad ji,
be
please.
brief?
After. Please, after.
Yeah. Are you able to
Sir,
hear
sir,
my?
please.
Yes,
Are
yes.
you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please unmute yourself, Dinesh Wag.
Yes. Yes. Are you able to hear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely, definitely.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I have prepared a little bit about this topic, about fragmentation. In biology, the biologists, when they hear this word fragmentation, it reminds them of breaking of some simple organism like hydra and some vegetation. They can break themselves into various fragments, and each of these fragment again becomes the whole, like the original one. So that is the fragmentation in biology. There is fragmentation in society, which is based on culture, religion, nationality, political ideology, economic condition. Like when you talk about a culture, like Indian culture and the Western culture, there is quite different, and that leads to fragmentation, which I myself experienced when I first went to America. Then there is a fragmentation due to religion, like we have in India, Hindu, Muslim. Because of different religion, the fragmentation happens due to nationality, like between China and America, or due to political ideology like democracy and communism, and economic condition, rich and poor people, there is a fragmentation. And then there is a fragmentation of knowledge. Like knowledge is divided into science, arts, philosophy, and again, science is divided into physics, chemistry, biology, and also each of these physics, chemistry, biology are divided. So the fragmentation goes on, And uh, then there is a fragmentation in human beings, which Swamiji talked about, the psychologist who met Krishnaji, which is described in commentaries on living. And the psychologist feels that there are people who are very deeply damaged, their mind, due to many factors, like due to war. There are people who are the victims of war. And the psychologist tries to bring them into the society, because these people are not able to fit into society with their many psychological problems. And in that, Krishnaji asked a very important question: is society healthy? Should we fit into a society which is very unhealthy, with a lot of corruption and violence? And the fragmentary action, the political action, social action, they are all fragmentary action. So there is in Krishnamurti philosophy, there is a kind of action which is whole, which is not fragmentary. And it comes that that kind of action is possible only when there is a freedom and there is love, which is not based on attachment of fear and so many other negative feelings and thoughts. So there is this possibility of an action which is not fragmentary in Krishnamurti teachings and also in other teachings too. And then there is a fragmentation of the human mind, and that happens because we have thoughts and feelings and conflicts within us and within people around, many conflicts, which leads to fragmentation of the human mind. And I have experienced all this kind of fragmentation, though I was not really aware of it. But I became aware after reading Krishnamurti that what is the real cause of this fragmentation. And the real cause, what Krishnaji says, and which I found also, is that comes from thinking, and from thinking comes me different than you. And so that duality exists, the fragmentation comes with the thinking. So the question one can ask is it possible to live without thinking? And we need thinking for our daily life and for our various activities. But is it possible to have this knowledge, which is functional knowledge, and not carry on the psychological images which we construct out of experiences with people and with many situations? So that question one has to investigate within oneself. And it seems to me that it is possible to come to that state in which there is no fragmentation, but it may not exist for long, because when you are alone walking in nature, or you are in your room not talking with anybody, not discussing anything, that state of wholeness, no fragmentation, can happen, and it happens to many human beings. But when we begin to use thinking in dialogues, discussions, and then there are different views, and then there is a fragmentation happens. But in that case also, it is possible to listen to different views without getting very much emotionally affected by the different views. Something which I like to say about Valley School, when I was a housemaster in Valley School, and the students were 11th and 12th standard student. They were old, 16, 17 years old, and I was a housemaster. And we used to have weekly meeting to discuss about what is happening in the world, what is happening within us. And sometimes we used to listen to some music also, which is related. So once I asked students, what are your priorities in life? So they said academics is first priority, and then there is a sports, then there is a entertainment, and then there is a food, because these are very, very important issues for student at that age. And then when I asked them, what about the philosophy of how to live, how to really look, listen? Then one boy said, sir, that can wait until we are 40. That means after they have completed their studies and they have got a good job and they have earned money and then they have a family, and then they feel that they will have time to look into the deeper issues of living. But I feel that that is not possible, because when it is not done at a young age, and as we grow older, there are more and more problems and more responsibilities, and we get lost into many, many personal problems. And then it becomes very difficult to look, to sit even quietly and pick up a good book of Krishnamurti, like Commentaries on Living, and read carefully, then look inside and see from where all these problems are arising. So this becomes very, very difficult in the old age. So sometimes I used to tell them about that song, Ladakpan Khel Mein Khoya, Jawani Nind Bhar Soya, बुढ़ापा देख कर रोया वही किस्सा पुराना है सजन रे झूठ मत बोलो. So that is the song which says that as we grow older, if we are not very careful, our life ends in sorrow, and then it becomes very, very difficult to really look at the cause of all our problems. And we get caught into all these problems without our awareness as we grow up, and we are not aware. But then if we are sensitive and come across a good book, like I came across Krishnamurti book, and then we begin to look inside, and then there is a possibility of looking at the source from where all these problems arises. But generally, most human beings find it very difficult. And even in Krishnamurti schools, when we offer some subject like philosophy, and other teachers are offering subjects like arts, painting, photography, film, music, and so many other, then we find that only about 5 to 10% people select a topic related to philosophy. So philosophy is very, very difficult for most people because they don't like anything very serious. and students are very young at that age, and they have many choice and many problems. So it is difficult, but I think that once in a while we expose students to difficult problems in living, like conflict with their friends, fear of examinations, and fear of snake, fear of darkness, fear of unknown. So we do discuss, but then it depends on students whether they are sensitive and they find it very interesting, these topics, to be really free from fear, jealousy, anger, loneliness, boredom, because boredom is also a big problem even among students. So, like especially in the weekend, if there is no film shown to them, they feel very unhappy because they don't know what to do with the time if that evening film, Saturday night film is not shown. So human mind likes to escape into different activities, escape from their own mind. And so it becomes, and also Krishnaji talked with this psychologist who came to him that escapes are very much nowadays with internet and social media, and people keep busy about many different issues. But looking within is very difficult. And that is where the real fragmentation starts at our own mind. And so one has to look, one needs to be alone and very curious with lot of energy, attention required that. Okay, I finish.
Thank you
Anybody
very
like?
much.
Correct.
Yes. Anybody
Can we-
ask question?
Can we request Shakti ji to say something? He has been wanting to say.
Yeah.
Shakti
Definitely.
Kumar.
Shakti ji, you are welcome. You are welcome. Please
Mic
come
on
forward.
कर लीजिए. Mic on कर
Yeah.
लीजिए शक्ति. Mic unmute करना. हाँ, right. Go ahead.
Yeah, for this I'm just on audio. Yeah. And
Okay.
I wanted to say about this fragmentation. It's a question, in fact, that you see, I look at myself and I see that when I'm reading Krishnamurti or when I'm pondering over these things, I think and act in a certain way. And at other times, I think and act in a very different way. So I see the fragmentation is very much there. You see, as the Urdu poet Nida Fazli has said about other persons, but that is true about one also. He said that एक आदमी में होते हैं 10-20 आदमी जिसको भी देखना हो कई बार देखना. So that is the fragmentation within that has been the real problem. Not that because the I who is acting in a good way, so-called good way, is also an I, and the I who is acting in somewhat different way, that is also I. So I have seen that sometimes that if I can be out of the zone of unawareness, this fragmentation, it gets a little bit, you see, is slow, but it's very much there. As Dineshji was saying that it can be natural. I also asked myself whether it is natural, or because if it was natural, there will be never a moment when it is slow or it is almost not there. So it seems it's an acquired habit. And Krishnaji talks about this, there is no question of suppression of one eye. There is no question of, cultivating another eye. That is not in Krishnamurti's discourse. So it's a question that it's not that I want to be free of fragmentation, but I just wanted to share this aspect of fragmentation. Thank you very much, sir.
Anybody else? Pradeep Verma?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yes. Abhi Shakti ji talked about acquired. This is not natural, but this is acquired. I may tell you, the latest science tells, although it was pointed out long back by Lamarck, that there is inheritance of acquired characters. So inheritance of acquired characters is a very natural process. It's not something unnatural. It is very natural, acquired characters. So this is one clarification I wanted to give about this. Actually, what happens once we are impressed by something, either by authority, which was negated by J.K. himself, or about certain statements, then we try to justify that in all possible ways. So that is also one human tendency, very natural, again natural, very natural. So whatever we may say, philosophy, Harshad Parikh ji talked about philosophy as something very, the way it has been taught, the way it has been, like certain mathematicians say that mathematics is a game, it's a play. It's that easy. So it depends on the teacher. Philosophy as such, in India, it is known as darshan. The one of the most least energy utilizing processes, seeing. But we are all probably conditioned by certain statements, and we try to align with that. So this is what I feel. But if you can see it, everything is so very clear in society today, how this fragmentation is being used regularly. They are very moment to moment aware about how to use fragmentation. So this is what I have to say. Thank you very much for giving yet another chance.
Yeah. May I say something?
Yeah, please go ahead. And after you, Chidanand ji will say, because he has to move at 7:50. Okay.
Okay, I just 1 minute only.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether fragmentation exists in birds, insects, animals, maybe in human beings. Fragmentation exists because our brain is more developed compared to animals and birds, and we have invented language, and we are using thinking, and this may be the reason why fragmentation exists in human beings, especially the more educated or learned a person is, generally more fragmentation exists, because knows too much knowledge is also the cause for fragmentation. So people who live in a mountain area away from cities, I don't think they have so much fragmentation when they live in nature. Even in Krishnamurti schools, which are in very good area, nature, there is much less fragmentation compared to cities and the way people live in the cities. So the cause of fragmentation is the development of our brain. And it is developed by nature only, but the development is not complete yet. It is partial development, like the intellect. We have come to intellect and using intellect to exploit nature. But there is a different dimension, higher dimension than intellect, which is intelligence or awareness, which what religious people, Krishnamurti teachings talk about, that when this awareness is awakened, intellect, thinking functions in a proper orderly way and doesn't create, or it can minimize the conflict within oneself and with people around. So our brain is not fully developed, partially developed, and it has created so many problems that our own existence is in danger now. And they say that at the end of this century, probably humanity may not survive due to overheating and the flooding of cities and so on. Okay, finish. Thank you.
Chidanandji, would you please say something? We wanted to
Yes,
listen more from you.
sure.
Please.
I think, yeah, I will speak for a few minutes, 2 or
Yeah.
3, and 7:15 I have to leave.
Yeah, yeah.
7:30 I have some other engagement.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
one of the points that came up is, I know, after wondering whether it is natural or inherited or developed or acquired, etc., etc. The practical issue is how it can be brought to an end. And I would maintain that the more we learn the art of inquiry, no matter how conditioned we are, how fragmented we are, how biased and prejudiced we are at a given point of time, even if we are closer to 70 in age or young as 35 or 40, doesn't matter. If we learn the art of investigating and inquiring into the way our self operates, that will bring down all this fragmentation. Here I want to let you know, many of you may already know, in psychology, they talk about something which is a very interesting concept: confirmation bias. There is a term, confirmation bias. What is confirmation bias? I'll give an example to make it easy. Suppose I am a little proud of being from Karnataka, let us say. I'm not, but suppose I cook up an example. I'm proud. I want to, whenever I get a chance, I want to say people from Karnataka are decent people or something. Now, in a day, I get 100 WhatsApp messages. There are some saying Telugu people are wonderful people, some that say Punjabi, some say Gujaratis. And there are 2 messages which have said, people from Karnataka are saintly fellows. I will save them. I'll put a star to them. I will start wondering, to whom shall I forward it now? This is called confirmation bias. I have a bias, it's a questionable. Bias is always questionable. It's a prejudice. And I want confirmation from it, for it. So if A or B, X or Y, even somebody in America or Japan gives a statement about Karnataka people are good, And if it comes in newspaper, I'll make a paper cutting and create a file. So this happens in fragmentation too. Muslims would go on collecting material, which says their religion is the best. Hindus would collect material that says theirs is the best. So is Christian, so with. Whereas once, I'll end with this remark, once we question this bias, we investigate, we inquire, and ask ourselves, just because these two messages say people from Karnataka are wonderful fellows, what about the other 98 messages that I have got? So that's called inquiry. So in various ways, in fact, I would suggest that a couple of weeks from now, we'll take the topic. What does it mean to inquire? Harshadji, would you say it's a good topic?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
yes.
What does this mean to inquire? Self-inquiry and all that, It's, in fact, Krishnaji doesn't compartmentalize self-inquiry or inquiry. He doesn't. He does maximum justice to this whole science. Inquire into the nature of anything and everything that comes in your awareness. Need not be self-inquiry. That also can be an obsession, I'm going to do self-inquiry. Don't disturb me. I close the door and want to do self-inquiry. That's another compartmentalization. Thank you. This is what I would.
Very good, sir. You want to say, Chidananji? We are not able to listen you.
Completed. I said that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah,
We will keep next Thursday. Coming
next
Thursday.
I won't be able to come next Thursday. So
Hey,
26.
Yeah, I remember that. No
26
problem.
26 August को रखते हैं.
Yeah, 26 August ko we will keep this subject. Thank you very much. No words to express gratitude. The way you are helping the circle. Thank you. Ashish, you wanted to say something? Ashish, sir.
You have to unmute your mic, Ashish. Unmute your mic. वो नीचे एक बटन होगा. हाँ, अब ठीक है. Are you from Chennai?
No, sir. I am from Agra, Uttar Pradesh.
From where?
Agra, Uttar.
Agra, अच्छा आगरा वाले. ठीक है.
ताजमहल आगरा.
Okay.
Actually, this is my first time at the such kind of retreat and all, and I am first time. Right now, I am in Varanasi in the JK Center as well. So here I am, and Shakti ji is there. So he told me to join that meeting.
Oh, this is one of the cottages. Which cottage are you in? Study center cottage. कौन सी है?
I am in Avlokan.
Avlokan, ठीक है.
Yes. I am in that Avlokan, and I am also, I am listening case since last 2 years, and for my initial 8 months, I was, unable to understand him that what he want to say actually. But I was, keep on listening him, and get to know so many new things and try to understand him. Because I was in my heart, I was have something that okay, the person is saying something very differently. Because I have been to so many various religious organizations, different ashramas and all. So there was some quest within me. So I got answer from the teachings of the K, and I listened them regularly. And after that, I decided to visit a Varanasi center. So I am a biology teacher actually. I teach on online coachings, and I'm just 25 years old. And I am very much sincere, and I am very much honored to be with you all. You are so experienced being here, and listening you all is a very great thing to me. And I'm seriously very much thankful to Shakti ji that he provided me a link to join with you all and listening you all. Actually, this integrated form, what the K has said in his teachings, actually in his audio, I have listened over all these things, that our life is actually based on the fragmented actions. We do every action in a fragmented way. So, as the Pradeep sir said, he explained so very well everything, and I want to emphasize and I want to know that how we can bring the cumulative thing, because since the birth we all are in a certain form of conditioning, because from that every conditioning is a start. We can't stop that; it is natural. So after a time we realize, as you said, the self of inquiry, we need to do this. So I want to know a basic thing, that how we can come to a point in our brain that okay, now from now onwards I think we can't do this on a natural basis, that okay, I just seize this particular kind of fragmentation and we try to say that okay, now I have stopped everything. So this will be a kind of mechanical form, because inside there is a fragmentation and I am acting like this, so this will not work, I think. So I want to know actually in a very sensible way, that how I can go with the understanding in every action that it is not a fragmented. So this is my question actually.
Who is going to answer?
I think-
Chidananji or Harshad Parikh? Parikh sir?
Yeah, I can answer.
Yeah, please go ahead.
No, in order to see anything very, very clearly, even to see that there is a fragmentation, it requires freedom. And that is why Krishnaji says, freedom is at the beginning. That means, how do you do anything? Like, how do you look? How do you listen? When you are reading a book, how do you read? Well, when you are listening to people, how do you listen? Because if there is no freedom, then whatever you do will create more problems. So the question is it possible to see things very, very clearly? Whatever it is, even if there is a anger arising or conflict arising, is it possible to see it? And I feel that to see it, one needs the freedom. Otherwise, there will be very quick reaction coming if somebody is criticizing you and you get very angry, and then that will create more problems if it is not seen at the beginning itself, how the anger arises or how any thought thinking arises. So all this requires um, curiosity, ability to be alone, uh, directing the attention inward at looking at the thinking itself, how it is arising. So people who are very curious to know not about the society, not about politics and economics, but how these thoughts are arising. For such people, they can really come to that state where even thinking stops. And it is a wonderful state where there is no thinking. And then if there is a thinking arising, one can see it. Sometimes one doesn't see it also. Then there may be, our mind will get stuck into some loop and more thoughts. But then if you are curious, again you come back and say, okay, I want to look at what is happening. And then again the whole movement stops. And then this is something one can do it every day. And as like people who learn a language or music, they have to make a lot of effort in the beginning. But after some time, we begin to speak very clearly without much effort. So similarly, it is possible to look at the beginning of thinking without effort. And that is what Krishnaji is wanting us a effortless awareness, moment by moment, of what is going on. That is the real freedom. Okay, I have finished.
Sir, that's all.
May I
I'm
say
not
something?
listening. Sir,
May I say something?
after Wagmare is
Okay.
waiting for a long time. So
Okay.
first Wagmare and one request, whenever you say something, please unmute yourself, but then mute. Problem is that we don't mute. When we unmute, we don't mute. Please do it, please. Wagmare, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, in my views,
Yeah.
one should not, there is no point in criticizing this fragmentation. It is basically a fact of life, and one has to understand the structure of fragmentation, and he has to go above it. Once, what I mean to say, one has to understand how this fragmentation causes problems in his life, and how it can deplete his energy, because in the fragmentation, the energy is channelized in a particular way, so that it's a depletion of energy. So one has to understand, and even Mr. Ashish was asking, so is there any action, how to do an action holistically? There can be an action with holistic approach. That means you have to see any action basically will always be fragmented. But as in our Upanishad says, Purnat Purnamidam, means everything is Purna in itself. So that action can also be Purna or holistic, provided that all aspects of that action will always be in, it will be always to some reference, means some issue is there, and against that action has to be there. So one has to understand the total aspects of the issue, and it should also not create problem for the self, not create problem for the other, and also not the problem for the total nature or the total means all the maximum possible aspects have to be seen, and then only the action can take place. Then that action can be said to be holistic. And it's a natural thing. In my views, it's a natural thing. There will be, as Harshad Parekh sir also said, thought creates this duality, and as long as thought is there, there will always be fragmentation. So fragmentation is directly linked or related to thought, and thought is also a natural process in my view. Thought will always be there, and it is to be used. So as and when thought will be used, there will be fragmentation. But one has to understand the total structure of fragmentation, and then he has to go above it. As Arshad Parekh sir says, one has to see, observe with the freedom. So if he can see with freedom, and he can remain, put aside sometimes the thought, then only I think there can be an action which may not create, may not be holistic. This another point Shakti ji was saying, that sometimes there fragmentation is not there. There will be a absence of thought, but absence of thought doesn't mean the fragmentation is not there. Absence of thought means absence of noise, and absence of noise is not the silence what Krishnamurti is saying. Krishnamurti is saying meaning of silence is entirely different. We can go in different direction if we talk on that. But basically, in my views, as I will conclude by saying that one has to understand the structure of fragmentation, and he has to go above it. Thank you.
By naming, you are satisfied? It's a natural. By naming that it is a natural, you are satisfied?
This is just this natural is just a labeling of the thing. We are this is just to put, we are putting a word to it. But I am not identifying the, I am not identifying the word.
Sir, you have spoken a lot. I am just saying, otherwise you have said that fact-based action is a no action.
No, Krishnamurti himself has said that you have to see the fact, and then you have to
no, sir. You said issue-based action. Issue-based action is no action. I don't feel like this. Sir, I have got a difference. May I not register a difference? May I not
Yeah,
register
you
the
can have a
difference?
difference of opinion,
It
but
is
always
already
there is action.
7:24.
Action is always with some reference. Sir.
That's very true. Very true. But sometime we are so much after naming the thing. The thing which we said should be okay. That is what happens. Not with you. Not with me.
I want to ask
No,
Harshad
it's a
sir to
quite
comment on
natural.
this.
It's a quite natural. It's a quite natural. Once we have said something, we wanted to confirm it. The way he said it, Chidanand, confirmation bias. Whatever you said, then you defense it. I am not saying that you are defending it. I am to it. Everybody else is
So the
doing
things
that.
may be other way around. No, we are
but
discussing.
you should
Otherwise,
see- but-
there is. Just Jain sir, please listen to me. Otherwise,
but you should see-
Jain sir,
but
please
you should-
listen to me.
But
There is no point
no,
in
I am not
discussing,
going.
no.
I am
We
not going
are-
to listen. I am not going to listen to you. I will be listening now, Pradeep Verma. Please see whatever I have said.
Sir,
Pradeep
I
Verma,
also
only
want a
5 minutes are
comment from
left.
Harshad sir.
5 minutes.
I want-
Yes, sir.
5
Yes,
minutes are
sir.
left. 5 minutes are left. Sorry, Pradeep Verma ji, finish
Yes,
your
okay,
talk
okay.
within 2
No, I
or 2
also
minutes.
want comments from Harshad sir.
Okay.
No, after that,
Yeah, okay.
if you want to
Okay,
hijack this
accepted.
meeting, you wanted to hijack the meeting. Number
No,
of times
sorry,
you are
sir.
doing this.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sir.
please-
Sorry,
please
sir. I
don't,
don't
please
want to
don't.
hijack.
Please don't do
I
the-
don't. I don't want to. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Pradeep sir,
Yes, sir.
and then
Two-
Then Harshad Parekh.
Two important points strike me while listening to Chidanand ji and Harshad Parekh ji. Chidanand ji talked about what is important is why don't we investigate? Why don't we explore ourselves? Why don't we go inside ourselves, right? So my submission is that when persons are in comfort zone, they will never inquire. You see, they will never inquire about it. Even most of the conditioning that is so very common in society, those conditionings are continuing, which gives some benefit to someone. That is the main thing. And another thing, Parekh ji said, freedom is at the beginning. A very important statement and very complicated as well, because what is the beginning for anybody? Am I free? As Ashish was talking just now, right from the birth, we are conditioned. That's a fact. And not only conditioned, getting conditioned every moment. So what is the beginning when the person can be free? Without suffering, there is no inquiry. Those 5 years, and people were coming personally to Krishnamurti when he was not allowed to give in the United States discourses in public. They are all, if you see, they are all sufferers. All sufferers. Even now, whenever somebody goes to a guru or anyone, he goes with a suffering. That is the start of spirituality in natural way, man, because he thinks something called spiritual will resolve my problems. So what is the beginning and why a person doesn't inquire? Because he's getting some benefit out of conditioning also, most of the people. And rest is a rejected lot. Nobody talks about it. Nobody can give them relief. Thank you very much.
Katyani madam, you are requested to speak. Please unmute and say. Is there any problem, ma'am?
Namaste. I just,
please.
no problem. I just have a comment that everyone has beautifully put everything in perspective. And as Chidanand ji said, we are biased, knowingly or unknowingly, we are biased. And compartmentalization or fragmentation is inevitable. So I was going to ask the question as Ashish had already asked, how are we going to overcome this conditioning? And I think I got the answers, but I just wanted to make it as a comment that making it clear, maybe the freedom and the fearlessness, and as Harshad Parekh beautifully said, effortless awareness, moment by moment. I think that's what clarifies a lot of things that we undergo. I really like that actually answers everything. And of course, everything boils down to self-inquiry. And I really loved the session, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Katyaliji. Now, as the time is 7:30, may I request Ashok sir, we are closing it now.
Yeah. I want to give a metaphor that
Yeah.
if there are many people walking in a room which is dark, then they will collide with each other because there is a darkness. But if light is switched on, then these people can walk without colliding with each other. Similarly, there are many thoughts which go on in our mind, but when there is awareness, these thoughts, they don't create conflict. They can move without any conflict. So problem is not with the thoughts, but problem is with the lack of awareness. And what generally happens is that from thinking arises the sense of self, I or me. It comes from thinking, and then this I or me wants to change thought. So there is a conflict, the fragmentation right within the mind between thinker and thought. In Krishnamurti's language, thought creates the thinker, and the thinker tries to change thought. And all our psychological problems are because of this duality between thinker and thought. So I did verify it many years ago, and I feel that, yes, it is true that when we really want to look at the beginning of a thought, we may find that the thinking stops and it's a wonderful state, but then again thinking will come. And then there is, when this awareness is ongoing, then even this thinking can go on without any problem. But when there is no awareness, thinking will lead to many waste of energy, conflicts, and all that. So our basic problem is the awakening of intelligence or awareness, which can see things very clearly, what the thinking intellect is doing. Okay, I have finished.
Thank you, Arshad sir. Very well explained.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks to everybody who participated and who did not participate. I am equally thankful to him also. So please close it.